What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel. And today, over here on the main C4 channel, we are going to be releasing our first full 7-round Philadelphia Eagles mock draft. Now, I haven't been doing any less Eagles draft content. I'm just doing it on a different channel. I've been uploading all that stuff on my second channel, More C4. We're on our way to 4,000 subscribers. It'd be cool to get 5,000 come roughly the end of draft season. I've been uploading all of my Eagles off-season content, all of my Eagles draft content, my free agency grades. Everything has been over there on that channel. Just also recently got streaming enabled on this channel. So my plan is to stream night 1 of the draft live reactions here on C4 channel. And then day 2, day 3 will be on More C4, Eagles draft pick reactions. First round, if we have a first round and or second round picks, will be here on the main channel. For all 3rd, 4th, 5th, day 3 type picks, that will all be on the secondary channel. But the big news that I got streaming, because, you know, let's be honest, I'm already trying to plan my life around when the new GTA comes out. I'm going to be streaming. My plan is eventually to get into just somewhat, maybe once or twice a week, streaming in the evenings, be it Madden or different games. Don't really love Twitch. Don't ever really want to have a main channel and a streaming YouTube channel combined. I've not heard great things, horror stories. So now that I have streaming enabled on the secondary channel, that's where I'll be able to do it. So go check it out and support it. Lots of content on the way. All right, so for this mock draft, I'm not going to be trading up or down because it's just too much temptation to screw over the simulator machine. So what we're going to do is quickly go through the top 10 picks because there's absolutely, we'll just talk about and entertain hypotheticals. I think Philadelphia, likely, if they're going to trade, are going to trade out of 32. They're going to fall in line with what they did a couple years ago, when we basically got 2 second-round picks from the Baltimore Ravens, where the Ravens can get pick 32 to draft Heisman Trophy-winning quarterback, and now multi-time NFL MVP Lamar Jackson. At a time, while I was reacting live stream to that trade, couldn't believe we got hosed. That was not a normal trade of pick 32. If you hold pick 32 and you know a team wants to trade up for a quarterback to get that 5th-year option, you don't get fair value. You don't look for good business. You need to hold that team over the fire and maximize your value. Philadelphia did not do that time, and I think for this year, there's probably going to be teams potentially that want that Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart pick at 32 to get that 5th-year option. If I'm Philadelphia, I need 2 seconds and a third. 2 seconds and a couple fourths or something like that to even entertain trading out. And as someone that is a Philadelphia Eagles content creator that does plan on streaming the first round, imagine just a 5-hour stream just for a pick 32 Philly to trade down. But if we're going to trade up, there are a couple names I would circle. One would be Tyler Warren. I think right now the perfect scenario, as the writing on the wall looks like Philadelphia is going to trade Dallas Goedert, would be trade Dallas Goedert to the Colts, and then have that kind of start a slide for Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren is in this class. If you had to replace Dallas Goedert, the number 1 option is Tyler Warren because he is the best tight end in this class. Will he fall? Probably not, but that'd be pretty cool if that trade kind of spun into Tyler Warren falling into like the late teens, and then Philadelphia, a team that has, you know, over the next 2 seasons, nice little war chest of, you know, 3rd and 4th round picks, especially next year when we get the comp picks back. Maybe you could trade up there, but that would be the only guy I would entertain. I quickly want to get into the 20s because Philly was going to trade up. It would be in the 20s. Not a great board. The players that, like, you know, depending on how you sim, that could be available in the 20s that I would consider trading up for. Tyler Warren, unlikely. One would be Walter Nolan. I think he'd be my favorite option to succeed a Milton Williams. 2 would be Malachi Starks. Now, that feels unpatriotic to just be like, hey, Canadian Sidney Brown, potential fan. You know, I think if he starts, he'd be a huge fan favorite because there's a heat-seeking missile out there that can get turnovers. I think Vic Fangio hates Sidney Brown, personally. Vic Fangio likes players that play within his structure, that are technically sound. I feel like maybe that's why CJ got traded for pennies on the dollar, because even though ball hawk, exciting player, fan favorite, kind of improvised a lot. You know, missed a lot of tackles. Vic don't like that. And what does Sidney Brown do? Misses a lot of tackles because he is a heat-seeking missile. So if they don't think he could start, and he's just more of a role player, special teamer, which is still fine. Malachi Starks could be very entertaining for Philadelphia Eagles, and I think most Eagle fans have him up there on the dream list. So he could be a guy that I don't think I would, you know, be furious about trading up for. So at this point, you know, you still have Walter Nolan available. I think Josh Simmons might be the best tackle in this class. If Philly and Jeff Stelton says, hey, this guy He could start at right guard for us and then succeed Lane Johnson in a couple years. You could consider that as well. John Campbell. You know what's better than one Zach Bond? Two Zach Bonds. Like, those would be the names that I think Philadelphia, if we had to trade and kick in third, fourth round picks this year, next 3 years, I wouldn't hate it. Derek Harmon also, who just went to the Chargers at 22, he could be an interesting name to fill in that interior pass rush role. But we just get absolutely crushed with the players that just went in the 20s, which is why I think Philly might have to be aggressive to get those pool of players that could be dynamic game changers as rookies. They're probably not going to fall into our lap at 32. So knowing what it's going to take, I would trade back if we actually got good value. We did not. So this is a very interesting situation for the Philadelphia Eagles, because the interior pass rush, if you're looking for someone that can replace Milton Williams and be part of that rotation with Moro Jomo, didn't get a good role there for first round. Edge rusher, I'm not going to lie, I literally did a kind of a trial run. I had James Pierce Jr. at 32 here. That would be an awesome pick for Philadelphia. Right now, vibe on James Pierce is probably won't fall, but could fall. Maturity issues. Literally, there was a guy on Reddit that said he went to high school with him, and he's a psychopath. Kind of feel like it's Reddit. How much do you really weight that? Also, why would someone lie about that? So if he's truly a psychopath, maybe that's going to, piss some teams off a little bit. Maxwell Hairston at corner. I think this draft, we got to give Vic the benefit of the doubt. Right now, if Philly drafted any lineman, overdrafted any lineman, I think you could be a little upset, like, man, that's not who I wanted. But if Stoutland liked them, we got to give the benefit of the doubt. I think after last year with Jalix Hunt in particular, if we draft someone that's perceived a reach on the defensive side of the ball, we need to feel confident that Vic Fangio said, yep, that guy's going to work. I was right with Zach Bond. I was right with Jalix Hunt. I was right with Cooper DeJean. I was right with Quinyon Mitchell. I'm in my bag right now, and I'm seeing with that third eye future Pro Bowlers, future All-Pros. And if someone like Maxwell Hairston, 6 feet tall, a little bit light, 4.2 speed, Philly brought him in for a top 30 visit. If he's a guy that they say at 32, absolutely go get him. Wouldn't be absolutely shocked. Even though, again, maybe we just give Keely Ringo a chance. But Philly's also brought in Trey Amos from Ole Miss on a top 30 visit. So that's also another guy you consider. But I think for this, at 32, if this is the board, I would go Josh Simmons. Now, making this selection, I am going under the assumption that Josh Simmons will challenge for the starting right guard spot. Tyler Steen's just never been able to win it. Kenyon Green is another project player. And the versatility that Philly has had with their high lineman picks makes me confident in making the selection and making the assumption that they can just, we're going to try him out at guard. And then eventually he'll be the Lane Johnson successor. Because you get him at pick 32, which means you have 5 years of Josh Simmons on a rookie contract. I think it's wishful to say that Lane will play another 3, but if another 2 to 3 years, that still means you're going to have 2 years of rookie Josh Simmons at that right tackle spot. And there's not a lot of teams that you can say, well, we're just going to play him at right guard. He's never played right guard in college. You look at it, Josh Simmons, he started at San Diego State as a right tackle, transferred to Ohio State, and has played 2 years of left tackle. However, Philadelphia, when we drafted Cam Jurgens, he's our center. But we had Jason Kelce, so we let him open the competition at guard. He started and played at guard, and then when Kelce retired, he moved to his more natural position at center. I feel like that could be the path that Josh Simmons follows, and if we do invest a first-round pick on a tackle, I damn sure hope that they can compete for that right guard spot. But when you look at Josh Simmons, I think he could. He's a big dude, 82-inch wingspan, 34-inch arms, 320 pounds, put up 33 reps at his pro day, and he's athletic. He is a mover out in space. We pull our guards like crazy. I think he'd be plug and play at that guard spot. And then again, with that 5th-year option, likely 2 years left of his rookie deal, he'll be able to succeed Lane Johnson and have 3 years of Stoutland University under his belt. Done a lot of mock draft sims. This is usually like 9 times out of 10 where Mason Taylor, the tight end from LSU, is. And if we're trading Dallas Goedert and we're not going to be able to get a Tyler Warren, my next favorite stylistic tight end is Mason Taylor. Unfortunately, he is not there, so we need to pivot. I think there's interesting players on the board. I like Kevin Winston at safety. Jacob Parrish came in on a top 30 visit. I really like Carson Schweisinger. I think it's unfair to just pencil in Jeremiah Trotter Jr. as a starter at linebacker next year. We lost Oren Burks. Don't know if Nakobe Dean's going to be ready next year. We have Zach Bond at linebacker right now. I think Schweisinger, even though he's only a one-year starter at UCLA, has everything you need in a linebacker, in a modern linebacker. He's prototypical size, sideline-to-sideline ability, great testing, great measurables, doesn't miss tackles, can drop back into coverage. Wouldn't hate that pick at all. He might be arguably the most valuable pick Philly could make at 64. Don't love the D lineman. I know Sanders, interior pass rusher. Josh Farmer can do a little bit of that. I don't think the value's there. I think the value, honestly, these three edge rushers. Oladejo from UCLA started as an inside linebacker, moved to an edge rusher. Kind of, you just look at that. He's like, oh, that's kind of Zach Bonney, I guess. You have Josiah Stewart, who I think I'm coming around on a little bit more. But my sleeper edge rusher in this whole class is going to be my selection at 64. That is Braden Swinson, the edge rusher out of LSU. Braden Swinson, breakout candidate. Only had one real big year in 2024 with LSU, 13 TFLs, 8.5 sacks. But this is a long, rangy pass rusher who I think when you look at the underlying stats outside of that, he was 5th in college last year with 59 pressures. I think, honestly, him or Josiah Stewart I could live with at 64 if we're looking for those second, third round edge rushers. But I think Swinson at about 6'4", 255. I think he's just, didn't play a lot of football. He was in Oregon, then transferred to LSU. Most of his production came the time he had the most opportunities, which was as a full-time starter in 2024. And I think you just get an ascending pass rusher that can come in as part of rotation, rotate in with Jalix Hunt, and give Philadelphia some added juice in the pass rush department. Pick 96, still under the assumption that Dallas Goedert is gone. My favorite tight end as far as value is concerned in this class. I'm going Terrence Ferguson, the tight end out of Oregon. With Ferguson, you're getting a very athletic tight end, was arguably the most athletic tight end at the combine. 6'5", 250 pounds, ran a 4.63 with an impressive 39-inch vertical. Had almost 600 yards and 3 touchdowns last year for the Oregon Ducks and missed 2 games, so you figure he plays full 2. Might be close to 700 yards, up there with the top production in college football last year. But you're getting a guy that is just very well-rounded. You want a guy that can, stretch the field just a little bit, maybe take a screen pass the same way that Dallas Goedert can, 50, 60 yards downfield. He has the athleticism to do so. He's also a solid run blocker, a willing run blocker. He's not one of these tight ends. See Philadelphia Eagle fans right now. Harold Fannin Jr., who put up like 1,500 yards. He's pretty much a big slot. He's more of like, at best, you're kind of getting like a niche slot wide receiver guy, which is fine, but like if Philadelphia wants to just value a pure pass catching tight end, we have that in Grant Calcaterra, and he's really already established confidence and chemistry with Jalen Hurts, which is such a pivotal hurdle, which we've seen with how long it took Jahan Dotson to start to get involved. So we already have that like pure receiving tight end option on the team. We need someone that can step in and give a little bit of everything and can block. And I feel like at this price point, if you need a guy that can do a little bit of everything, Terrence Ferguson at 96 gives you a Dallas Goedert successor. At 134, Philly's in an interesting spot. We've yet to really address interior pass rusher, that Milton Williams spot. I think it's hefty to assume that Moro Jomo is just going to step into that role. I think we're going to need probably 2 guys to address that interior pass rusher. 2 guys that I think make sense. One is Ingram Dawkins here from Georgia, who's likely going to go a lot higher than where he is on this mock draft site. He's 276, kind of can play all over the line for the Georgia Bulldogs. Very good athlete. Very, very good athlete. This is a guy that at the combine for again, he's 6'4", 280. So that's closer to D-tackle than he are at pass rusher. Ran a 4.86, 36-inch vertical. Pretty big time numbers. 23 reps on the bench press. I think he was 282 at his pro day. But maybe more of like a edge rusher than he would be someone that you'd feel confident that can consistently line up in the interior. So with that being said, we're going to go with Ty Robinson from Nebraska. Robinson is 6'5", 290 pounds, ran a 4.83 at the combine, and really for all the D tackles, he put up like a 9+ RAS score. So it takes off the box, as we do like. Hallie Roseman does like. Vic Fangio apparently does like these guys that have the you can't teach that athletic traits, and then you trust from a technical standpoint they're going to get refined under Vic Fangio. And I think for the interior pass rushers that are available, I mean, Robinson had over 40 pressures last year, 12.5 TFLs, 7 sacks, 4 PBUs. Now, similar to Braden Swinson, where he's coming off by far his most productive season, but this guy's an absolute dog by all accounts. And I think he's kind of a guy that just might not ever be an outright starter. But when you get a guy that's a pro-ready rotational player right away as a rookie, you can always find a way for those guys to contribute. And that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for a guy that can come in and be the next, rotational Eagles lineman that then goes on and gets a $70 million contract that can net the Philadelphia Eagles a comp pick. Right now, we need a guy that can come in the interior, have the tools and traits to get after the quarterback and rotate in with Moro Jomo. And I think we would get that with Ty Robinson. Over to the 5th round, interesting spot for the Philadelphia Eagles at 161. If we want to go corner, I'd love Noel Williams at this spot. I think Jordan Hancock as well at Ohio State, especially after their pro day. I'm a fan. If we want to look at linebacker, Smail Munden makes a lot of sense as well. I'd say him and down here, Nick Martin out of Oklahoma State are probably my 2 favorite linebackers. Maybe, again, we have a lot of chance to do damage in these picks, so I don't want to, talk about it too much here. So at 161, we'll go Munden first. And again, I just think Philadelphia needs to get that cover at linebacker. We need to add another body in there, especially losing Burks. And essentially, we've lost Nakobe Dean for most of the season. And when you look at Munden, he's 6'2", 225 pounds, so a little bit smaller. Production has never been off the charts. In 2023, he was second team All-SEC. This past season in 2024, missed 4 games. Still had almost 60 tackles, 3.5 TFLs, 3 sacks, 3 PBUs. But he's very athletic. 4.58 in the 40-yard dash. One of those guys that probably would jump close to a 40-inch vertical. He's a typical Georgia Bulldog. And I think he's a guy that likely is going to need some refining. But he fits that bill of a Vic Fangio player. It's like, all right, the traits are there. Let me work on the rest. And I think someone like Munden, once you're into the 5th round, the fact that he could come in and add that competition and not just give that starting spot to Jeremiah Trotter Jr. next year, I think that gives a lot of value at 161. I'd pick 164 for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to go Noah Williams, the corner out of Cal, which may be a little surprising that he's still available at this point. I know Williams would be immense value at this spot. He's 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, led college football with 7 picks, but lack of straight line speed is kind of the knocker right here. And he's not slow. He ran a 4.50 flat, but only like a 33-inch vertical. Not a particularly explosive player. 6.97 3 cones is not too bad, but he's a ball hawk, man. 15 PBUs, 7 interceptions, and very willing in the tackling game. He's probably one of the more aggressive physical corners on the outside, which is absolutely a desirable trait for Vic Fangio. And he reminds me of a Rasul Douglas. And Rasul Douglas was along the lines. Rasul Douglas fell in the draft a little bit, but he led. I think he 7-8 picks for West Virginia when he was coming out, and probably ended up, unfortunately, playing his best football once he left Philadelphia. But I think stylistically, Noel Williams is a defensive back that Vic Fangio would crave. Pick 165, let's add a little bit of safety depth, and I'm going to select, either one of these ones I'd be fine with in Jalen Reed and Malachi Moore, but Jalen Reed's a little more similar to a Sidney Brown, where you just get the big hitting, physical, tone-setting safety, which is good, but he also misses a lot of tackles, where you get a little bit more technical ability here in Malachi Moore, who is, you're buying the dip a little bit. He was a lot more highly regarded a couple years ago at Alabama, but Malachi Moore is a guy that was a second-team All-American last year, first-team All-SEC, 70 tackles, 10 PBUs, 2 picks, has over 30 PBUs in his career. He's been, I remember he started as a freshman back in 2020 for Nick Saban, where he was a freshman All-American, SEC All-Freshman. That's when he looked like he was going to be a future first-round pick. Since then, he's kind of bounced around a little bit, but he is a safety that not freakishly athletic, 4.6 speed, 36-inch vertical, not too bad, only 15 reps in the bench press, but you're getting a guy that is physical, does the dirty work, also technically sound. You're going to be able to rely on him a little bit more. You're going to be able to have him be one of those guys that if he has to come in off the bench, which that's going to be his role, I imagine that he's not going to be a guy that's going to have a lot of missed assignments. I feel like he is pro-ready because he's played a lot of college football at a really, really high level, and I think he's going to be able to come in and make the team, make the 53 as a special teamer. And then to finish our mock draft, I want to grab a running back. A lot of options here. Jaden Blues brought in a top 30 visit, has 4.3 speed if we want the pure burner. I think the value, however, is going to be Jarquez Hunter, the running back out of Auburn, who has been unfortunately kind of never been able to be a bell cow because they've always had a decent rotation there at Auburn. But what you get in Hunter is a guy that's proven SEC production, guy that will be able to contribute on special teams, has experience in special teams. You have a guy that's a fine balance of speed and power, kind of more similar to like your Will Shipley type. And you could maybe make an argument that getting like the pure straight line speed of a Jaden Blue might be a little bit more complementary to what we already have. But I think there's going to be at 168, if that's the board, multiple running backs you'd feel comfortable bringing into the rotation and having them kind of, I don't think it's necessarily a foregone conclusion that A.J. Dillon makes the roster. Wasn't a lot of money committed to him. Don't know with his health status as well. Could be a guy that might not have it anymore at training camp. But I think ultimately, I don't want to necessarily, for A.J. Dillon's case, put him in like, oh, he's Devin White 2.0, might not even be on the roster week 1. But I think win Philly, you can kind of stash these guys that have jack of all traits at running back late in the draft. Those are where you really find the value in the guys that could potentially be like the next Kareem Hunt type value picks. So there you go, guys. That is my first 7-round mock draft for the Philadelphia Eagles here on this main channel. If you guys want to stay in touch with the rest of my draft content, and in particular Philadelphia Eagles draft content at the beginning of the video, go check out my second channel at MoreC4. That is where all that content will be dropping. But that'll do it for me today, guys. Let me know what you guys think about this mock draft for the Philadelphia Eagles. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Where might you have gone differently in this? Let me know in the comment section below. If it's your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to the second channel. And until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out. Love ya. Have a good one.